please turn your cell phones to mute. If you have trash to dispose of, there will be a trash container when you exit. Bottled water is allowed, but food and chewing gum are not permitted on the bus or during the walking tour. We thank you for your assistance in helping to maintain this beautiful place. The road you are traveling is the same one the art collector and newspaper publisher William Randolph Hearst traveled. He began building this estate with his architect Julian Morgan in 1919. They worked on this project for 28 years. We will pass a large Spanish-style house built in the 1930s.
This is Hearst Castle tour. Hearst Castle in San Simeon. It's a 1 hour and 20 minutes drive from Bismo. Tour ng castle. Wala ka pa di ka
All his life, Randolph Hearst referred to this place as the ranch at San Simeon, even though it later became
1 hour, 1 hour and 10 minutes tour. Please share para makita nila ang Hearst Castle. There's a fee of $30 for each.
Primary residence on the West Coast and a place to showcase a stunning collection of Mediterranean art objects against the backdrop of California's beautiful natural landscape. Hundreds of glamorous guests traveled the same road to visit the castle in the 1920s and 30s. But imagine Mr. Hearst first as young Willie,
That's the
a
castle.
boy following his father along the
Please
winding
share,
bridle
please
path
share,
that would
so
become
you
this
can
road.
see the Hearst
Climbing on horseback
Castle.
1,600 feet, 488 meters, to a hilltop that was often sunny when the fog shrouded the coast during the summertime. Later in life, Mr. Hearst said that the road was so steep and the way so rocky that he only managed by hanging on to the tail of my pony. George Hearst knew California's landscape well, having traveled west as a miner from Missouri in the 1850s. The geology that caused these steep hills to rise from the ocean floor millions of years ago was the same factor that brought precious minerals like gold, silver, and copper closer to the Earth's surface, allowing them to wash down the high mountain creeks of the West. Though thousands came west looking for easy riches during the gold rush, few succeeded. George Hearst was a skilled miner and geologist and became one of America's richest men with investments in Comstock silver, copper, and Homestay gold mines. But he never mined in this region. George Hearst bought the land at San Simeon in 1865 as a cattle and horse ranch. He had married Phoebe Apperson Hearst in 1862, and their only child, Willie, was born in 1863. All three Hearsts grew to love this ranch, and they added to it until it eventually totaled over 250,000 acres, or more than 100,000 square hectares. You will also see open-fronted shelters made of logs that were built for animals in Mr. Hearst's zoo. His love of animals drove him to create the largest private zoo in America, filled with exotic animals from all over the world. You may see herds of tawny animals that resemble mountain goats. They are known as audads and are descendants of Mr. Hearst's original herd, still roaming these hills and mingling with the cattle. Originally, this land was home to Native Americans of the Chumash and Salinan peoples, who lived there for over 9,000 years. It was claimed by Spain after 1769, and then settled by California cattle ranchers during a brief period of Mexican ownership. California joined the United States in 1850, soon after gold was discovered. George Hearst bought 3 ranchos and continued to run cattle on the hilly expanses above the Pacific. And 150 years later, this is still a family cattle ranch. The Hearst Corporation runs over 2,000 head of grass-fed beef on these hills today, largely black and red Angus. Cattle graze much as they always have, and depending on the season, you may see them along the hillsides. Randolph Hearst was 56 in 1919 when his mother Phoebe died, his father having passed away earlier. William inherited this land he had loved nearly all his life, and immediately hired a talented and singular architect, Julia Morgan, whose firm was located in San Francisco. Hearst was overheard walking into Miss Morgan's office and announcing he was tired of camping in tents. I'm getting a little old for that. I'm thinking of building a little something. Well, his little something became this estate of more than 165 rooms, and he chose to build it on the hill which had served as his family's original campsite. Julia Morgan's first challenges were to make a road from the old bridle path, and also to bring water from the natural springs that were located on a mountain almost 6 miles east of this hilltop. To this day, water provided to the estate comes from the same 1.5 million gallon reservoir built by Miss Morgan and Mr. Hearst in the 1930s. Some of it is stored in tanks atop the castle's bell towers. You may also glimpse a 16 million gallon reservoir recently built by the Hearst Corporation to provide water for the current family ranch operation. The Mediterranean climate of this region brings hot, dry summers and cool, wet winters, a perfect setting for the native oak trees known as coastal live oaks, or Quercus aquifolium. These are the large trees we pass, which have spreading low branches, small dark green leaves, and rough brown bark. Mr. Hearst and Miss Morgan designed the road to wind around the trees, some of which are more than 300 years old. On the hilltop, they sited the buildings around the oaks, and occasionally even moved a massive oak out of the way as the castle grew. You'll notice the hillside. These grasses turn a rich green. In the summer and fall, they change color to a golden brown. Mr. Hearst filled these pastures with his zoo animals. In his day, guests traveling this road would have passed by antelopes, yaks, giraffes, llamas, water buffalo, bison, and more than 100 other species. Most are gone now, but in addition to the audads, today you might see salmon deer and Roosevelt elk mingled with the cattle. Keep watching, and you may also glimpse some animals native to the area, including deer, foxes, and coyotes, as well as the large black birds that soar through the skies, known as turkey vultures. The views of the coastline can be quite spectacular on clear days. So too are the views of the twin-towered structure Hearst and Julia Morgan called Casa Grande, which means big house in Spanish, now commonly referred to as castle. The road was designed so the castle would appear and disappear as you climb higher. Upon reaching the top of the node, we will travel through a landscaped area filled with fruit trees, which supplied some of the food in Hearst's time at the ranch. He grew nearly all his food on site, including beef, poultry, dairy products, and fruits and vegetables. You may also see on the left the remains of a columned arbor known as the pergola. It was a path for walking or riding through. It was planted with fruit trees, apples, quince, plums, cherries, peaches, and apricots, among others, and it was canopied with grapes. At over a mile in length, it was laughingly referred to by Julia Morgan as the longest pergola in captivity.
These are the polar bear pins. We'll talk about them on the way down.
As we near the hilltop, your walking tour is about to begin. We ask for your help again in preserving this remarkable estate. While on tour, please touch only the handrails of concrete and black iron, and avoid touching or leaning against any other objects. When inside the buildings, please remain on the tour carpeting. Flash photography is allowed outdoors only. Please turn off your flash when you go inside the buildings. Your tour will take a one-way route over the hilltop without doubling back, so be sure to take your photographs when you see them. Photography for personal use is very much encouraged, but written permission must be obtained for publication. Please turn off your cell phones or put them on mute. Bottled water is allowed, but no other food or drink. Chewing gum must be disposed of in the trash containers as you leave the bus. We request that you stay with your group at all times. Ask your guides if you need any assistance. And now we invite you to imagine what it would have been like to visit this glamorous estate in Mr. Hearst's time. For him, it was always the enchanted hill. Get ready for your enchantment to begin.
Here we are in the castle. Castle entrance.
Please double check around your seat. Make sure you have all your personal property with you. Watch your step as you exit, and if you are tall, be mindful of your head on the way out. Have a great tour.
Thank you.
Big last step there.
Sir, I have a question.
Sure.
It says that you cannot put it on social media. Is it not allowed?
You can't like put it in a magazine or something like that. If you're gonna put it on your own personal
And
page,
my
yeah.
YouTube.
Yeah.
It's okay?
Yeah, check with him.
Okay,
I
with
think
him?
It's okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Check
Thank
with him.
you.
Oh my goodness, that hair is amazing.
Oh, I like it too.
Thank you.
This is beautiful.
Very well.
Sir, I have a
I'm very
question.
envious of it.
Hindi, Anay.
I guess I'm your guard.
Hindi kayo,
Well,
hindi pwede
that
mag...
is-
Hindi,
I'm sorry, you
hindi ko
didn't
hindi.
have
Hambal
lunch.
publishing na lang. Pero pangkutong ko daw siya. Hambal isa-isa.
Kung hindi pa siya magaling.
Okay, okay.
All right, my friends, we're going to let everybody else kind of start scooting off the bus. We're going to make our way over to an area we call the Hello Spot to get acquainted, and then we'll get this little show on the road. How's that sound?
Good.
Follow me, my friends.
Hambal niya sa magazine kung hindi pwede. Kung personal mo kung pwede.
Hindi na ang YouTube na hindi na personal.
Pangkuton ko sa dapat. So this is the castle. Hearst Castle.
You guys are lucky. We've got lots of shade today. Absolutely. But winter's coming. I can feel it. I woke up this morning and I'm like, looked at my thermostat. I said, oh my God, 63 degrees. Oh, really? If we can get everybody up on the flat part, that would be amazing. Spread off to either side. We don't want anybody on the stairs because we don't want to start the tour with the tumble. All right, bad coast. I like that. Got a few more people to get up here. All right. So how's everybody today? Great. Good to see a lot of smiling faces. Good to see. Good to see. My name's Maury, and I'm going to be your guide on the Grand Rooms tour today on behalf of California State Parks and Recreation. I'd like to welcome all of you up here to Hearst Castle. If we can get everybody up on the flat part, that'd be awesome, especially that cute little guy right there. Now, not only is, well, first off, we call it the castle. That's the easy term. Mr. Hearst like to call it the ranch. Wrap your head around that, the ranch. The official name is La Cuesta Encantada, which in Spanish means the Enchanted Hill. And back when he was a kid and his dad used to bring him up here, they used to call it Camp Hill. So not only is Hearst Castle a state historical monument, but it's also an accredited home museum. So we're in luck. That's great. That means that we don't have any stanchions or barriers blocking our way. But it also means that as a home museum and an accredited home museum and a historical monument, also means that this tour is going to be a visual tour. You guys all look very smart. You know that visual tour is code for you're allowed to touch. Absolutely.
Oh.
Wait, this side wasn't very vocal. Absolutely.
Nothing.
Perfect. That includes the fruit on the trees, the flowers on the plants, and incidentally, the marble around the colonnades of the Neptune pool, which we'll be at in just a short period of time. Now, two notable exceptions. If you have any stability issues or mobility issues, concrete handrails, metal handrails. Please use them if you have any issues at all, just for your safety. Okay, so as a visual tour, you're going to want to take lots of pictures. By all means, take all the pictures you'd like. But once we get inside, if you could please disable the flash on your camera or your phone, whichever device you happen to be using, it would be much appreciated. The flash can actually damage some of the textiles in the house because they're all about 500 years old. Also, while we're inside, we're going to be walking on a luxurious, low-cut, commercial-grade pile of carpet. All right, it's covered in duct tape. Can't miss it. Looks like something we sourced from Home Depot or Lowe's. So if you find yourself standing on travertine, which is a polished limestone teak or even a Persian carpet, hop back on the blue stuff for the protection of the collection. Okay. Now, did they play Mr. Trebek for you over the radio? Yeah. Awesome. So even from the great beyond, he's still helping us out. Now, the two most important rules as far as I'm concerned and as far as my this hilltop is concerned, in regards to consumables, things that you eat, drink, smoke, so on and so forth. It's a very, very short list, very easy to remember. Water is the only thing that should be passing your lips up there. Water, clear water. Go find it, it's out there, and don't worry about being too far away. I've got a big mouth, you'll be able to hear me.
Look at the view.
Okay, so looking out over the terrace there, this is the west terrace, you get a nice view of Mr. Hearst's property.
This is Mr. Hearst's property. Oh, may ocean pa to gali, oh.
About a 5.5 mile driveway that Mr. Hearst has. Now, for the uninitiated, the view behind me, well, I don't know how to break it to you, but this is not the castle, my friends. This is one of 3 guest cottages that Mr. Hearst has built between 1920 and 1924, and it's the Indian side of it. It's called Casa del Sol, House of the Sun, and it's placed here to take advantage of the view of the sunset in the evening. It's over 3,600 square feet, 8 rooms, over 3 floors. Now, the other 2 guest cottages, which will be going by, well, actually, one will be going by, the largest of the guest cottages is called Casa del Mar, House of the Sea. So we'll take advantage of the view of the southern beachfront property.
This is Hearst's Castle tour.
And then the smallest of the guest cottages, hardly worth mentioning, Casa del Monte, built to take advantage of the view of the Santa Lucia's off to the north, only 2,500 square feet and 10 rooms. Now, William Randolph Hearst, who is he and how did he acquire this property? Well, William Randolph Hearst is the one and only child of George and Phoebe Hearst. William Randolph Hearst was born April 29, 1863 in San Francisco, California. So he's a California boy, born and bred. The man would live to be 88 years old. He would die August 14, 1951. Now, for some historical context, he was born when Abraham Lincoln was the president. He would die when Harry S. Truman as I mentioned before, he's the one and only child of George and Phoebe Hearst. George Hearst and Phoebe Hearst were both from Franklin County, Missouri. George Hearst came out to California in 1850 to be part of the gold rush, but he does not strike it rich in gold. He strikes it rich in silver, the largest silver strike in U.S. history in the Comstock globe. Now, after he becomes a wealthy man, he goes back to Franklin County, Missouri. He meets his young wife, Phoebe Hearst. They get married, come to San Francisco, where they have their one and only child. Phoebe's 21 years old. William Randolph Hearst is 41 years old. And after Phoebe has her child, her one and only child, William Randolph Hearst, she will focus primarily on expanding his horizons and increasing his education. Expanding his horizons how? By taking him on 2 grand tours of Europe before he's even 16 years old. And we credit her with his love of collecting art, traveling, and collecting art, traveling, and now, William Randolph Hearst's father, George Hearst, actually purchases this property in 1865 when young William Randolph Hearst is only 2 years old. He purchases 40,000 acres up here, including this hilltop, for $30,000. I'll do the math for you. That's about 70 cents an acre for prime California beachfront property, and the man thought he was being taken. And we credit George Hearst with William Randolph Hearst's love of the hilltop, because William Randolph Hearst would be brought up here as a kid to horseback ride, camp, and fish on these hillsides. Now, as I mentioned before, Phoebe insisted on him getting an education, and so he does go to Harvard. He spends 3 years at Harvard before he's what they call rusticated. And for the uninitiated, rustication is when the dean comes up to you and tells you your grades are terrible, your behavior is even worse, you're going to go home and think about it before you can graduate. Well, he goes back home to San Francisco, and while he's there, he convinces his dad to give him a down-and-out newspaper. He never returns to Harvard, by the way. Give him a down-and-out newspaper called the San Francisco Examiner. He takes that down-and-out newspaper, and that's the jumping. He takes that and turns it into a very successful newspaper, and that's the jumping-off point for his publishing career. He will go on to have, at his peak, 28 newspapers, 14 magazines, 5 radio stations, a movie production company called Cosmopolitan Pictures, which would later merge with MGM, Movie Made of the Life. He would also be into cartoons. Think Teen Features, Popeye. Think about comic strips in the Sunday edition of your local newspaper. He would also have one of the first TV stations in the United States, WBAL. Now, William Randolph Hearst's business takes him to New York in the 1900s, and that's where he meets his wife, a young dancer named Millicent Veronica Wilson. They fall in love, they get married, and they have 5 boys: George, William Jr., John, and the twins Randy and David. And for all intents and purposes, William Randolph Hearst will be a married man his entire life. But he will separate from Millicent in 1926 when he starts living with, openly, another young dancer. And for all intents and purposes, your hostess up here on the hilltop. Now, in 1919, William Randolph Hearst's mother, Phoebe, passes away from the first pandemic, the Spanish flu. And when she passes away, William Randolph Hearst inherits the fortune. And when he inherits the fortune, he goes to see Julia Morgan about building a little something up here. Now, 8 years and they would never finish. One of the things they did finish is probably the most iconic, most photographed pool in North America. You guys ready to see the Neptune pool? All right, I like that enthusiasm. Follow me, my friend.
This is Hearst Castle Tour.
Okay, my friends, we are now located at the Neptune Pool, and as I mentioned before, probably one of the most photographed pools in the country. according to architect Charles Moore, he called this pool as liquid ballroom, not a bad description of the Neptune pool. Now, as I mentioned before, 28 years would go by, and they would never finish. And there's a number of reasons for that. One of the first ones that I have to tell you about is that back in Mr. Hearst day, when they started this project in 1919, there was nothing here. The road that goes up to Monterey wouldn't even exist until 1937, thanks to FDR and the WPA project. Now, Mr. Hearst had a hard time keeping people up here because it was so remote. They had weather issues because that road that you guys came up on, 5.5 miles, would not be paved until 1963. So when it rained, it would turn into a quagmire. And the production would come to almost a standstill. They would have labor issues. They would have material issues. Just getting stuff down here to San Simeon Harbor, well, that was quite a big deal. And they would have dock worker strikes up in San Francisco. But Julia Morgan said probably the biggest hindrance up here was the fact that William Randolph Hearst suffered terribly from a non-terminal illness called a changeableness of mind. And this pool is a great example of that. This pool wasn't even supposed to be here, but he's got 5 kids and a wife, and in 1924 she sent them a telegram saying, the boys and I are anxious for a pool. By August of 1924, the first pool was ready. It was about as wide as the Neptune temple right there, and about as long. Mr. Hearst ended up liking it so much that he tore it down. And he built a second one about the size of the inner oval right there. Liked that one so much, he tore that down. Now remember, this is all steel reinforced concrete, so it was no simple feat to tear this stuff down. By 1936, the third version of the pool was ready, and we're looking at it right now. Now this pool in 2014 was leaking 5,000 gallons of water a day. Any Californians here?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so you know that's almost against the law here, right? So the state of California does a restoration on this pool. 4 years and $10 million later, we're now looking at it what Mr. Hearst was looking at. Now I'm going to give you a few dry facts about the pool, no pun intended. It is 104 feet long. It is 58 feet wide right here where the nymphs and swans carved by French sculptor Charles Cassou are frolicking. 95 feet wide right here in the alcove where the same sculptor carved the birth of Venus, which is happening 24/7. The bottom of the pool is made of marble sourced from Vermont, and the inlay that you see, California State Zone serpentine, which you can see on the pool deck. The pool is 10 feet deep at the deep end, 3.5 at the shallow end, and it contains 345,000 gallons of spring-fed water that come from 3 natural springs. We are not on municipal. 3 natural springs on Pine Mountain located at 2,000 feet. We're at 1,600 feet. So all the water is gravity fed. Back in Mr. Hearst's day, this pool was heated and filtered. It's only filtered. This pool and the last pool that we're going to see have not been heated since 1948. That'll be one cold drink of water right there. Now, the Roman temple facade that you see right there, like I said, the namesake of the pool is right up there on the pediment, the triangular part. He's carved out of limestone. I know he looks like he's taking a selfie of himself, but he used to be owned by an Italian composer named Giuseppe Verdi. Now, the reason he looks like he's taking a selfie of himself is because he used to have a trident in that hand, but in 1936 it broke, and where it went to, no one seems to know. The rest of that temple is an integration of 1st to 4th century architectural Roman fragments, the columns, the entablature, the horizontal part, and the pediment, and the rest of it, steel reinforced concrete. Now, in 1957, Life magazine, in the August edition, on the cover of their magazine, they had a picture of this pool, and that picture was taken on the Neptune Terrace. You guys ready to get a view from there?
Oh, yes, please.
All right,
Yes.
follow me, please.
To reenact my photo.
Did he forget already?
Oh, that was just my mom.
That right there in that little alcove, they were supposed to have statuary in there. That statuary was never used.
Hearst Castle.
Oh, yeah. I'll walk in today and work, put it
So this is the view.
Cranking it out, buddy. That's a lot of steps.
Sir, I have a question.
Yes.
I'm putting it on my live YouTube. Is that okay?
As far as I'm concerned, it's okay, but there's only one thing I gotta tell you about.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so one, tripods are not allowed, and two, extensions are not allowed. So
Okay.
just crank it down, and then I don't care, but security might say something to you. So otherwise, just like that.
I'm advertising it.
Huh?
I'm advertising your
Oh, good.
company.
Well, thank you. What's your name?
Jem,
Jem. Nice to meet you, Jem.
nice to meet you too. What's your name?
Mauricio.
Mauricio. Gracias.
De nada, de nada.
Ayan, wow.
So what do you guys think so far?
Very nice.
Beautiful.
Not too bad of a view.
Look at that.
You and me both, pal.
Mika.
All right, my
Okay,
friends,
kono.
we are now on the Neptune
He
Terrace.
liked it.
Neptune Terrace was created in
Yeah. Hello,
1928.
everybody.
And the Neptune Terrace serves a number of functions. Its first and primary function is to be the roof of the dressing rooms that are located directly below us. There are 17 of them. 10 for the men and 7 for the women. And before you ladies get too upset about that, it was only thought that more men would swim back in the day than women did. But the truth of the matter is, recreational swimming as we know it today didn't really exist back in Mr. Hearst's day. Matter of fact, recreational swimming wouldn't take off until after World War II, so after 1945. A number of them did not know how to swim. And if you didn't know how to swim, you probably didn't bring a bathing suit. But never fear, Mr. Hearst is here. In each one of those dressing rooms, for the men and the women, there'll be a selection of bathing suits. Now, before you get too excited about those bathing suits, remember, this was at a time before synthetic fabric. So what do you think those suits might have been made out of?
Plastic.
Very good.
Ano daw?
They would be made out of wool. And they look like onesies with the arms and the legs cut off. Now let me tell you, I don't know if you guys have had the dubious distinction, but I have, of having swam in wool before. So the first thing that happens is you gain 5 pounds when you do it. The next thing that happens, it's a little itchy and it smells kind of like a wet dog. And then the worst part, it sags in all the wrong places. It's not the most glamorous of swimwear to wear, but you would at least have something to wear when you're swimming in the pool. Now the terrace also affords us a little view of Casa del Sol. It is a guest cottage. People like Bob and Dolores Hope would stay there. Walt Disney would stay there. Let's see, a guy named Edwin Hubble, they named a telescope after him, he would stay there. Over here we've got Casa del Monte. Casa del Monte means House of the Mountains. And Mr. Hearst took that place for a test ride in 1921. But it too is a guest cottage. Now, any film buffs out here? Remember a guy named David Niven? David Niven would stay in that place. Gary Cooper, Clark Gable, let's see, Charlie Chaplin and Harpo Marx, they said they stayed at all these places. And for you history buffs, there was this guy named Winston Churchill. He and his family would stay in that particular cottage. Now that cottage gives us a great view of the property that Mr. Hearst had back in the day. We already established 40,000 acres, thank you Mom and Dad. But by 1937, he will have acquired 250,000 acres. That's 390 square miles. And to give you an idea of how far that is, if you look off in the distance there, we've got a beautiful day in between the Italian cypress. You see that little mountain that looks like a crocodile head or a camel taking a drink of water? That's Junipero Peak. named after the father that founded the missions in California. It's 6,000 feet tall and 35 miles away. That was his.
Hi, Burgundy.
That was his. 25 miles to the east, alone, Mission San Antonio. That was his. And it's a good
Hi,
thing we got that
Diane.
big blue thing out there. Who knows how far he would have gone, and he did have over 14 miles of Pacific Ocean. Now, Hearst is a big collector of art. We've established that. 1st to 4th century stuff right out there in front of us. You guys want to see something that's over 3,000 years old? Yes. Outstanding. I like that. All right, I'm not even going to tell you the origin of the country. Should we go see it? Let's go check it out.
Check it out. This is artwork. I'm on tour at the Hearst Castle.
May nakakarya sa baba ng sapatos.
Ang muling garden niya, hindi pwede matouch. Morabe. This is the garden of Mr. Hearst. And that's another castle. Wow, this is art. It's from 1920s. Mhm. Capture the moment. Look at the view from here. This is the garden. Miga puta.
Dili, kadto ka ti.
Kasi gusto mag-isa ka muna. Bukid siya sa no? Ayan. Is this the castle na ba?
So full of goat heads.
This is the Hearst Castle. Look at that.
I dressed up as a Franciscan monk, and I appreciate it. It was a Renaissance red hair. Everybody's dressed like knights. But that's it's some
Look at the view.
regional park in the type of
View from the castle. Oh, there's a beach.
All right, my friends, I promised you some 3,000-year-old art, and that's what exactly we have right here. These 4 sculptures are of the deity known as Sekhmet. She is Egyptian. She used to
Oh, that's
oversee
the
Nile
3,000 years old.
Her name means all-powerful one, giver and taker of life. She is the daughter and fierce protector of the sun god Ra. And these 4 sculptures range in age between 3,200 and the oldest being this one right here, 3,600 years old. And if you're wondering if we've got to be out of our tree to be having such sculptures out in the elements, well, fortunately, Sekhmet is composed of an element, a granitic element, known as diorite. Now, diorite
this is
so
3,000
hard
years
that
old.
After all these years, you can still see the whiskers on her face and the lines in her mane. And this would have been some of the first art that you would have seen as a guest to Mr. Hearst. Now, as a guest to Mr. Hearst, you would have come up here a number of different ways. If you were Howard Hughes,
3,000 years old.
you would have flown your airplane down into the
Mr. Hearst is
landing
the
field that Mr. Hearst
owner
has
of
down
this
there,
Hearst
the first
Castle.
rated, landing field in the state of California. Or maybe better yet, you're a Vanderbilt and you fly your amphibious plane
Look at
down
that.
into the harbor there and come up in a private car. Maybe you have a yacht. Anyone here got a yacht? Oh, great. I thought so. 2 of them.
I have a yacht in my
You come
dreams.
down from San Francisco or up from LA and anchor it in San Simeon Harbor. Or if you were your average, everyday, run-of-the-mill celebrity, you would have taken a train from San Francisco or from Glendale up to San Luis Obispo, where you would have been met by Steven Zagar's taxi cab company, and you would have been brought up here driven around the entirety of the hilltop, brought down to a little cul-de-sac below what we call the South Erie, and you would have been met by your personal valet and then escorted to the guest cottages in either Casa del Mar, Casa del Sol, or Casa del Monte, or if you were lucky,
This is the
you might have
castle.
gotten a room up in Casa Grande located up on the main terrace. You guys ready to see the big house? Yes. Vámonos.
Vámonos. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Where are you from? Good.
Tracy, California.
Oh,
How about you?
Los Angeles.
Oh wow, you guys go further.
Yeah,
We only
we
did 4 hours. How about you?
4 hours too, but we stay here in Pismo for 4 nights.
Oh yeah,
4
we're
days.
staying overnight tonight.
I see.
Go home
Are
tomorrow.
you having fun?
Yes.
What's your name?
Julie,
Julie, I'm Jem.
nice to meet
Nice
you.
to meet you too.
Where are you guys staying?
At Pismo Beach.
Oh, okay. So you drive up for
Yeah, like 1 hour and then 15 minutes.
nice.
Yeah. Very nice. I'm learning.
Oh, I'm
Say
glad, Jim.
something.
Well, what would you like me? Something very
Like
intelligent.
inviting. Yeah, intelligent. I like that.
Jim, please.
Gemstar.
Welcome to the main terrace, or as Mr. Hearst liked to call it, the Central Plaza.
The
and I'm going
Central
to explain
Plaza.
that why in just a
Okay.
minute.
Okay. You can invite my friends to come here.
Oh,
Here.
please, welcome. Please come.
Hearst.
Hearst Castle,
Castle.
State Historical Monument.
Okay, very good. Good job.
Very welcome. All right, my friends, we are now located on the main terrace, but William Randolph Hearst did not like to call it the main terrace. He liked to call it the Central Plaza. And why? Because I'm sorry, but I've been a bit remiss here. Mr. Hearst has a general overall theme up here, and I haven't explained it to you. It is that of a 16th century hilltop villa that you would find in Spain or in Italy around the 1600s. Okay? Now, in order to have a hilltop villa, there are a few requirements. The first one is Roman ruins. Why Roman ruins, you ask? Well, 16th century hilltop villas almost always had Roman ruins on the outskirts because by the 1600s, the Roman Empire had stayed.
Hindi kita ano.
Balik di Jem. Ayo pergi bawa sa komando.
Okay. Di na si John, ah.
Es lo que estamos pensando. Estamos
Y la razón es que para él este es todo un pueblo.
Diario.
Y en el centro, en la parte central
Alin
del
sa dalong?
pueblo, en los días del pasado había una iglesia. Y por eso el edificio tiene forma de iglesia, pero no lo es. Iglesia tiene muchos
Arauna.
auditorios,
Oh. Okay, ready.
y hay mucha parte religiosa, pero
Catholic sila gani.
propósito para parecer una iglesia, porque eso es parte de la
Oh, wow.
Y sí, hay cosas que no son parte de la iglesia, hay perros que están nadando arriba.
Ano na siyang planto?
Init. Mahal to ang tsura ko. Kuriit.
Diwat-diwat diri naman guys gaan sa wala init. Kinami ng building oh. Tsaka mo ko man nagdurong ako na eh. Ay, hindi siya mag-work. Kaya lang.
Now, we did actually have a couple of big wildfires that were untouched, basically, and we did have a big earthquake in 2003, 6.5 on the Richter scale. So 4 people in Paso Robles actually died in the only reinforcement in the building. Up here, they shut us down. Exactly where this place. The inspection came. What did they find? Just a few broken bases. No structural damage. Now, steel reinforced concrete. I know the president considers it look at, but Mr. Hearst doesn't believe me. He's going to wrap Casa Grande in a year. 2.5 inches thick, but we cover it hard from top to bottom. Now, William Randolph Hearst had
W.R. with friends and talk to his girlfriend Mary Jane. And the last movie, a first-run movie, like I say, Gone with the Wind in 1939, in his 2,800 square foot theater. Now, it's not anywhere near 7:30 right now, but I can hear those cocktail glasses. You guys ready to see Mr. Hearst's living room?
Mr. Hearst's living
You
room.
would go through that doorway right there, but on the other side of that doorway is a first or fourth century architectural, first or fourth century Roman mosaic. And the guy who restored that said, I ain't doing that again. So we're going to go through the side door. Let's go check it out.
We're supposed to go this way, the main door, but we will be going from the side door. This is the Hearst Castle, one of the tourist destinations in California. You should not miss this if you come to California. Let's see the living room of Mr. Hearst in the castle. Hearst Castle. You can Google it.
It's a great place to show you an example of, again, 28 years of working on this place and never finishing.
28
Remember how I
years
told you this
of
building is
working.
wrapped in a facade of etched Utah limestone 2.5 inches thick? Well, it goes all the way till boom, right there. Then it stops. That, my friends, over there is the south wing. The upper floor is where the staff stay. The lower floor where the kitchen and the pantry are. But you can see the exterior is unfinished. You can actually see the impression of the redwood forms that they used to pour the concrete on. And the other reason I stopped here was just a reminder, just a little reminder as we go
This is the staff
into
room.
the assembly room.
The staff
please check your
room.
feet, make sure you
The
stay
new wing.
on the blue gray. This way, my friend.
Merging.
Definitely merging.
Merging into traffic.
So this is the bottleneck. Oh, the small door. Wow. This is the inside of the castle.
Can't fit.
Look at that. This is the living room. Nice.
Like your living room?
Yeah. Where's
Keep squeezing on in, so
Make your way all the way around.
so this is the living room of Mr. Hearst's family. It's like a church. Wow. This is the museum. Oh, look at this angel. Black angel. Black angel. Wow. So this is the living room they have.
please keep both feet firmly on the mat.
And just a reminder for those just coming in, make sure that you check your feet and stay on the blue gray carpet. 65 years and 50 million people, it's been working pretty good. For those just entering, again, make sure you stay on the blue gray carpet, please.
Yeah. Finish
So this is the living room.
Okay, my friends, before I start talking your ear off about this place, I just had a great question from my friend Marita. And she asked if all this stuff is original. Now, this place was deeded over from the state of California in 1957. We started giving tours up here June 2nd, 1958. Now, one of the stipulations that they had with us when the Hearst Corporation gave it to us was that it remained as
That's the
is.
ceiling.
So what you're seeing today is essentially a time capsule. This is how it was back in Mr. Hearst days, and hopefully 50 years from now, it'll still be just this way. Okay? Now, essentially what we're seeing outside is more of a very sanitized version of what it was like, because this place was essentially a construction zone for almost 28 years. All right? Now, this is Mr. Hearst's living room. It's also called, the official name is the assembly room. As the name would imply, this is where Mr. Hearst's guests would assemble. Okay? It's also, the assembly room showcases his art, and from top to bottom. Now, everything up here has a theme. Outside, 16th century, and inside the assembly room, 16th century. Now, a lot of the art in here is going to reflect a 16th century theme, and that means it's going to have a horizontal aspect to it. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Now, again, 2,500 square feet, a room built for entertaining. But let me tell you, if you were in here during the middle of the day or the morning, Mr. Hearst was going to walk up to you and ask you, what are you doing inside? I have so many things for you to do outside. I have the largest private zoo, and I've got 2,000 acres fenced off for all the rain animals. You're going to see stuff like zebras, antelope, gazelles. You're going to see giraffes, bison, Barbary sheep. They've got carnivore pits where you're going to see lions, tigers, and bears. No, absolutely. Zoos are not your thing. Mr. Hearst might ask you to go horseback riding. Be careful if you accept, because you might find yourself 15 miles over Burnett's Peak, being very, very saddle sore, but don't be too worried. He'll always have a car to bring you back. You saw the outdoor pool. Of course, there's going to be an indoor pool. And if you like tennis, Mr. Hearst has a couple tennis courts. Now, come 7:30 though, you're going to make sure you're all nice and cleaned up. You're wearing if you're a woman, you might be wearing your favorite cocktail dress. If you're a man, your favorite slacks and a sport coat. And you're going to enter through that particular doorway right there. That's a 16th century Spanish convent door. Okay, let me tell you something. I know it looks like a church, and I know that's a convent door, but there's not a whole lot of churching going on in this particular room. This is his party room. And when you enter through that door, you're going to be greeted by his girlfriend, Mary Davis. And Mary Davis already knows all about you, because she's probably one of the people that invited you. Now, if Marita came through that doorway, she would say, you know what, I know she loves listening to music. And she's going to walk her right over to that couch and have her sit down, because over at that Wilter reproducer piano, you're going to hear the ivories being tickled by somebody like Cole Porter, or maybe Hoagie Carmichael, or pretend it's Christmas time, Marita. It's Christmas time. There are two giant Christmas trees in here surrounded by presents, and you hear a familiar tune. It sounds like White Christmas, right? And guess who's tickling the ivories at Christmas time? Irving Berlin. And who's crooning White Christmas along with them? Anybody? Bing Crosby, maybe? Yeah, Bing Crosby sings right over there. Let's just say we're really not that into listening to music, and Jen decides she wants to get in on a little high-stakes poker. You like poker? You like poker? She might direct you over to that table.
Oh, wow.
The table's already filled up. Amadori Peter Giannini. A.P. Giannini sitting over there, and he's playing poker with a guy. By the way, that's the guy who's on Bank of America. He's sitting over there with Joseph Kennedy. Remember that guy? He had a couple of famous sons. Howard Hughes and Alice Marble, the first woman to win Wimbledon. They're all sitting over there playing poker. It's the end of the evening, and Alice Marble has fleeced these guys, and they're writing checks to her for their winnings. But she's telling them, no, I can't accept your money, because if my mom finds out, she'll never let me come back. Now, where's Mr. Hearst? He's upstairs taking care of business, but when he's ready to come down and take his private elevator, enter through that door right there, and walk in and start talking to people about his art. And that's what this room is all about. 16th century, from top to bottom. 16th century carved wall and Italian ceiling. 16th century tapestry, front and back, done by Giulio Romano, depicting the deeds of Scipio Africanus, once owned by King Louis XIV. And Mr. Hearst decides for wallpaper or wainscoting, what does he do with this room? He wraps it in his version of wainscoting, 15th and 16th century Italian carved walnut choir sculpts, purely ornamental, not for sitting. Now, Mr. Hearst walks over to Marion Davies, takes her gently by the arm, and that's the signal to the butler that it's time for the first, or I should say the second event of the evening, dinner in the refectory. You guys ready to see how that happens?
What is this? The dining? Oh, this is the dining table of Mr. Hearst.
Aloha, Maury. Aloha, my brother. How you doing? Good, thank
This is their dining table. The Hearst family member table, buffet table, oh, dining table. This is their dining table. The Hearst family. This is their dining area.
Okay, we can make our way all the way around, plenty of room. Keep on going down, our friends. Perfect.
But then we're spending the weekends at Ismo Beach.
Welcome to the refectory. And
So may check-in kami.
fancy word for a communal dining hall. This type of dining hall that you would find in a religious institution like a monastery, or maybe even an educational institution. Okay.
Dining hall.
How many people here know about a movie called Harry Potter? Harry Potter.
Oh, diri sila nag-shooting?
How about Hogwarts? You remember Hogwarts? You guys remember Hogwarts, right?
Uh-huh.
Is this a school?
When before the movie came out, those people from Harry Potter came up here and took notes on this place. So this place looks like the dining hall of Hogwarts. Thank you, William Randolph Hearst. Now this room, like the other room that we were just in, the assembly room, was designed for dining, but it was also designed to showcase Mr. Hearst's art. And this room was done in what they call a Gothic style. And a Gothic style is the style that makes the eyes look up. And there's a particular element in Gothic that helps that happen. It's called the OG arch. And once I show you, next time anybody says, that's Gothic, the first thing you're going to look for is that OG arch. You see it right here.
Look lang dito ang atong province.
Spanish choir skull, just like the
Ito
wainscoting
kami
outside.
ang dili-dili.
Looks like praying hands where he calls to the room to do is go up. And if you look up, what do you see? Over the doors, OG arches, over the windows, OG arches, over the musician's loft, OG arches, on the rega right there, OG arches. And it gives the room a verticality. But it also gives the room a bit of an optical illusion. Because I don't know if it's obvious to you or not, but the room is actually wider than it is tall. That's what that OG arch, that's what that Gothic style does.
So, mainit space.
Now, William Randolph Hearst was the one who he's got Mary Davies. He's going to sit right here in the center. He's going to sit in the center, and his guests will follow him in. And these guests that are coming in are coming from all walks of life. This is Hearst is inviting them, not because they're rich and famous, but because you've got a story to tell. We need to have George and Larry up here. You know, remember your I think maybe that long. She would sit right
right next to William Randolph, and they talk about that. He was like people like, I don't know, Big Bill Wilson, the first American man who did room. It was right next to Mary.
May tumangkuan man sila gali. Maubos na akong battery in ano na lang daw, 15%.
Playwrights like George Bernard Shaw. You have all kinds of people.
1 hour na ta.
Why? The man's got 28 years more make his manners, which is one good review in his newspaper. And you do not want his gossip column to strip your pieces on Monday morning call. Now, when you sit down to eat with Mr. Hearst, you're going to be eating food that a lot of it is sourced from up here in the Philadelphia. This is kind of one of their first farm and table sort of situation. Now, you call this place the ranch for a very good reason. It was a ranch. When his father purchased his property in 1865, he was raising racehorses and cattle. William Randolph Hearst was doing the same thing, but he had poultry, chickens, ducks, geese, turkeys, pheasants. They had dairy, they had orchards for fruit, they had
This is like the Harry Potter
so a lot of the stuff that we right up here.
school.
Now, has anyone taken a glance at the place that is here? Does anything look vaguely out of the ordinary? Absolutely, like I'm telling you, what's happening here is Mr. Hearst again is all about country cabin, ranch, dining. He doesn't go for the fussy stuff and stuff. We've got old umbrella. You can get that at Gimbel's department store. You've got plastic stemmer, glassware, paper napkins, ketchup, mustard. Even the silverware, plate silver, or maybe even stainless. Again,
Shout out ko kami. Hindi na pwede magsalita. Kaya whisper lang. Shout out ko kami.
The third event of the evening was going to happen. And that's going to be that first run through. So if we were up here and you're going to see walk the wind, you might be sitting with Olivia the Apple. You might be sitting next to Mark Gable, David O'Sullivan.
Nag-invite pa siya gani.
And we're going to continue that conversation that we started with dinner with them in the next room in the morning. Before we go into the morning room, if anyone have any questions? I wouldn't be. No, they actually, I think they painted the bottles that way. Old Blue Willow. Old Blue Willow. Yes. Around the corner. And why didn't you bring up the kitchen to me? Yes? Yeah. Jack brought up the kitchen. Mr. Hearst was a very egalitarian kind of guy. Not only are his guests going to get to watch that movie, but staff is going to be watching it. So it's going to take a little bit of time while they clean off the table, clean up the kitchen, so they can watch the movie as well. All right, shall we make our way? Did you have a question? This right here. This is a ceremonial mace, and a mace is a symbol of civic power. And this 16th century Franco-Flemish tapestry here illustrates that. Here we've got Nebuchadnezzar, the king, holding a scepter, a symbol of royal power. And here we have the civic leader reading a decree, and behind him, his minion, holding a mace, a symbol of civic power. And coincidentally, it's right behind David, so we know who calls. All right, my friends, let's make our way into the morning room.
Morning room.
Hello, YouTube. Are you live streaming?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
He said it's okay because I'm
Oh, yeah.
advertising.
That's really cool. That's really
Yeah.
cool.
But my power is 5% now.
Anyway, ladies.
Good job, Mr. Mauricio.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Coming from you, Jen?
Yes.
It's always a pleasure to have such nice people on my side. And guys, stand wherever you like.
Okay. Thank you.
You're very welcome.